Well, you should have seen it. It was this big. There's always something about a fishing story that leaves you wondering how much of what you're hearing actually happened. Professional fishing guide Bryce Archie has a heck of a story. It's not about the one that got away, but the one his fishing buddy caught in his boat one day that saved his life. Just a stone's throw from all that spring break traffic in Hochatown, Oklahoma.
There she goes.
Where the original town site sits far beneath man-made Broken Bow Lake, lives a fishing tale about one guy.
It's where I've spent the better part of my life.
Who nearly died living through it.
The good Lord was looking over me that day.
That day, 4 years ago, was the first day of real hope in what had been a disastrous spring out at Beaver's Bend. After massive flooding brought Bryce Archie's Broken Bow Lake Guide service to a grinding halt, finally, a boat ramp opens to the public.
I had trips still coming up, so I had to go look.
Even life off the flooded waters had pressed Bryce and his wife, Sasha, to their emotional limits those first few months of 2015. Their then 5-year-old son, Zane, suffered through a series of seizures and trips to the hospital. And soon after, they lost Sasha's mother, Janice, to cancer.
My mother-in-law passed away on June 5th with an 8-year battle of breast and brain cancer.
So understandably, getting back on this lake that early June morning was as much therapeutic as it was financially essential for Bryce and his guide service.
Oh, he had to bring his own rod.
And no better way to feel normal again.
For the last 15 or so years, we fished together 15 or 20 times a year.
You didn't trust my rod and reel?
I just brought one extra.
Then hitting the water with longtime family friend Dr. Jim Ford.
Lunch on who catches the first fish?
Normal for these two,
Of course. All right.
usually means a day full of fishing bets and snarky remarks.
All right, age 4 beauty.
But Bryce admits, that day he offered little to no competition for Jim.
Stopped a couple of places to fish, and he wasn't fishing. So one time I turned, and he was kind of bent over at the front. And I said, what's going on?
Winning that day's fishing bet was suddenly the least of Jim's concerns, who at that time served as the director of the ER at a hospital a couple of hours away.
I'd been having some symptoms, and I just kept it to myself.
The first thing I thought was if he was having trouble with his hernia again.
And for all the guys out there, if you've ever had a physical, there is only one good way to check.
He did an examination right there.
Right there in the middle of that lake.
He dropped his pants up there on the front of the boat.
It may not have been real organized, but I was looking around too.
For you to ask him to do that in the middle of the lake, you had to be a little concerned.
I was concerned.
I was literally in good hands, I guess you could say.
Yet Dr. Ford's bow of the boat examination turned up empty-handed.
Never done it in a boat before.
Okay. But a lack of answers was even more concerning, as Bryce's pain only worsened.
I told him to call his wife there and meet us at the boat ramp.
Bryce was rushed to the ER, and it wasn't long before doctors had initial answers to his painful mystery.
He had a ruptured diverticulum, so probably going to have surgery. He said, but something else showed up on the scan as well. They're not sure what it is.
That something was a large mass on his colon.
It's when they told me that I had cancer, and the gasp that my wife took.
And I went, and I just got silent, because that's the last thing I expected.
It wasn't always smooth sailing back onto these waters, but he made it. Bryce is now in remission, and he feels it's because of that first day back on the water in 2015 on a flooded lake that reopened just hours before Bryce's organs started shutting down.
I'm very happy to have him back.
A day fishing with a friend. There's something to be said for what happened that day on this lake.
I wouldn't argue that.
Who made the absolute biggest catch in their 15 years of fishing together.
I'm here because everything lined up, and then that was, I believe, the good Lord lined it up.
Now, Bryce lost his sigmoid colon and well over half of his rectum. Tough words to hear, but a reality of colon cancer. He was only 41 years old when diagnosed. Guys, you're urged to have your first colonoscopy by age 50. 9 years ago, when I was only 41, I had one. Doc told me I was just months from full-blown colon cancer. I'm now on an every 3-year plan. It's the real deal. Take it seriously.
I bet she's already got babies.
That's why she's coming back. She's laying those eggs.
And on tonight's The Good Stuff, you saw a little bit of these majestic eagles on Broken Bow Lake. You can watch an extended video of these beautiful eagles in their nest and in flight right now on my Doug Warner KSLA Facebook page and on our Roku and Amazon Fire TV channels. Once there, just go to the shows section and find The Good Stuff.